Let me start by saying that if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, then this video is not for you, because today we'll be talking about the real hard truths on how to become a millionaire. With more than half of millennials nowadays thinking that they'll be millionaires, but the entire generation being overall poorer than previous generations, there's a lot of things to learn and a lot of things to catch up on in order to reach those goals, like smashing the like button. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Kevin, and on this channel, we talk strategies to help you along on your financial journey. If you love personal finance and investing, let me know by smashing the like button, subscribing to the channel, and let's get started. So, becoming a millionaire, what does it take? Is it all luck, or are people just inheriting this wealth? Well, in fact, only 8% of the richest people in the world have inherited wealth, with the majority of the rest being self-made. But being self-made is not just pure luck. You need a good growth mindset as well as at least basic financial literacy, which unfortunately is something schools don't really teach much. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, to start, you need to budget. Like, if you don't know what's going wrong with your finances, then how do you know what to fix in the first place? You want to know an overview of all your income sources and also where all that money is going. That way, you can see where you're overspending, or maybe you're spending on things that you don't use anymore, like a subscription or something. Depending on how your budgeting is, it might be really hard to face the truth. And this journey is not going to be easy, but you have to start somewhere. You should also have a really good understanding of how debt works. What's good debt, bad debt, and how you can even use debt and leverage that in your favor. If you carry credit card debt, then you'll want to address that as soon as possible, because credit card debt is notorious for being one of the highest interest debts out there, like 20% plus. Personally, I think if you have debt anywhere upwards of 5% or so, then you'll want to address those first and have those as top priority. Anything lower than that, then we start getting into the good debt territory. Take mortgages, for example. Where else are you going to be able to get a loan for an asset where you're paying only 3.5% down and locking in an interest rate of less than 3% over 30 years? With inflation as it is today, the value of that debt is going to go down over time. And if inflation is still around 3% or so, then you're basically borrowing money safely for free, because the interest rate is basically the inflation. You're not getting those type of deals anywhere else. Next, you'll need to internalize that this may take a really long time and practice delayed gratification. Yes, you could be making all the right moves, you could be investing, but all that takes time to play out in your favor. $1,000 today with a 10% year-on-year growth will be $1,100 in a year from now, which is a $100 gain. But the year after that, that'll turn into $1,210 with another $110 gain. So if you basically do that year over year for 10, 20 years, it's going to keep compounding higher and higher, which is the power of compound interest. Yes, it might be slow at first and you might feel like quitting, but stick to the plan, because as time goes on, it's going to basically be like exponential growth. That said, why don't we look at some examples? Let's say you have some insane ambitions and insane income that you want to become a millionaire in 5 years. At an average return of 8% year over year for the S&P 500, you'll need to be investing $158,000 a year, which will eventually grow to $1 million in 5 years. That means a total of about $790,000 put in and giving you a $200,000 return on that money. I know that sounds insane to say, but getting to $1 million in 5 years is also pretty insane. But what if we drag that out to 10 years? Well, the concept is similar, you just need to invest a lot less every year. For 10 years, you'll need to put in $64,000 a year in your investments, and over time, you'll earn $360,000 on that investment. So you're putting in less money, but because you're doing this over a longer period of time, compound interest is working in your favor. Okay, maybe that's still wild. What if you want to drag that to 15 years? In that case, you'll need to be investing $34,000 a year over that time period, which means over $500,000 invested, with the rest being earned from the returns on that investment. Here, you're really starting to see compound interest coming into play. So this same concept applies if you want to drag it on for 20 years or more. Well, with that said, how do you even get the income in the first place to invest with? For that, you can do a few things. But the first thing you can do, which is the most obvious, is to increase your income. This could mean focusing on going up the ladder at your current place, finding problems to solve, solving them, and using that as negotiation to try and get a higher pay. Or you could move to a career that is higher paying, or find a side hustle to accommodate your main income. Side hustles don't need to be that fancy either. They can be as simple as flipping at garage sales, to starting a lawn mowing business, to painting house numbers on sidewalks, and a lot of other things you can find on the internet. As you are increasing your income, you want to be wary on where you're actually putting that money in the first place. The worst thing you can do is putting that money in a regular savings account, giving you a fraction of a percent in interest. For most of you, you'll want to at least put it in a high yield savings account, if not putting in a basic index fund that tracks the S&P 500. And if you have the option of getting into accounts like the 401k for your employer or Roth IRAs for your personal retirement, then do that, because those are tax advantaged accounts. If you want more information on how to start your investing journey, check out the video that I made going over all those steps up in the corner and down in the description box. Let's say you do find ways to increase your income. Well, you're not going to be making better progress if your spend and expenses go up at the same rate that your income does, which is something called lifestyle creep. If you used to make $50,000 and you're spending $25,000, and now you're making $100,000 but you're spending $75,000, then you're not making any better progress. What you want to do is trim your spend to a minimum level and keep that level even when your income grows. And with that extra income, you throw it into investment vehicles in order to speed up and accelerate your wealth building journey. There's a bunch of ways you can decrease your current spending too. Like, do you really need that fancy car? Or can you just get a decent car and that'll work just as well? Are you spending hundreds on food and drinks every week? Well, maybe try cutting that down. And if you're fine living with roommates, then do that, because living expenses are one of the highest expenses that a person can have. And if you're able to cut down on that, you're saving a lot. If you're eating out a lot or getting a lot of takeout, which is something that I'm personally guilty of, then maybe try to learn basic recipes and cook for yourself, because food is also a really high expense. Okay, so if you have the right fundamentals and mindset, you found ways to increase your income and decrease your spend, then yes, over time, 10, 20 years, you'll definitely hit $1 million. But if you want to get there faster, then you'll need to be looking into creating multiple income streams. That not only gives you more income in general, but also helps you diversify in case one of your income streams, including potentially your job, goes away. In fact, almost a third of all self-made millionaires are reported to have 5 or more income streams. For most people, they have one source of income, which is their main day job. But there's a ceiling that you're gonna hit really quickly when you're only trading your time for money. So you need to start looking into other ways of income, like passive income or solving problems and getting paid to do so. These could be things like investing and dividend income, to real estate investing and getting cash flow from rental properties, or starting a business and selling a solution. That's why so many successful YouTubers have courses, because they've gone through the process, so they know what works. And instead of one-on-one coaching where they're trading their time for money, they can spend a bit more time to put together a solid fundamental course and have that one-time investment that will pay them for years in the future. It's a win-win situation, because the creator only spends one set of time to build a course and get paid from then on, but individual people will have to pay less to get the same information compared to if you had to pay for a one-on-one coaching session. Alright, so that's a lot of information, but your financial journey is exactly that. It's a journey, and it's a marathon, not a sprint, and everyone has to start somewhere. A big thing you want to keep in mind is to always be learning. Whether you're a beginner trying to get the fundamentals and learning things about basic 401ks and Roth IRAs, or you're a seasoned expert who is looking into other investment types like options or crypto, You always want to have a sharp mind and stay on top of what's going on in the world. Personally, a lot of my time nowadays is spent on diving into the whole crypto and DeFi space because I honestly believe that that area is our future and the best opportunity for our generation to build some wealth. Being wealthy may look easy from the outside, but what most people don't see are the years and years of work and planning and action they've taken in order to get them to that spot. And in all honesty, $1 million today is not the same as $1 million like 5-10 years ago, especially if you're living in high cost of living cities like San Francisco or New York. $1 million is more or less the norm there. With that said, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that some of these tips in this video will help you out or at least inspire you to start taking action in your own financial journey. And as always, thank you for watching, invest safe, and see you in the next one.